Here's a sneaky debt collection scam that might seem harmless at first, but can have serious consequences for your financial future. Imagine getting a call from a debt collector who says, "We're not asking for much, just pay $1." It sounds like an easy way to get them off your back, right? Wrong. This tactic is anything but harmless. In this video, we're going to unpack why agreeing to pay even just one single dollar on an old debt can open a financial Pandora's box. But before we start, I need to remind you that I'm not a lawyer. While I've done my best to provide accurate information here, this is all based on my research and personal experience. If you have specific legal concerns or questions about your rights, I encourage you to consult a qualified attorney. Now, let's get into it. In most states, there's a time limit on how long a debt collector can sue you for a debt. This is called the statute of limitations. It typically ranges from 4 to 6 years after your last payment, depending on where you live. Once the statute of limitations has passed, you can no longer be sued for that debt. It's important to understand that while collectors can still legally try to collect the debt, they lose the power to take you to court and force you to pay. That's huge because it means that you're protected from that legal action. This is where the scam comes in. Debt collectors know that the statute of limitations protects you after a certain point, but they also know that there's a loophole. If you make even a tiny payment on the debt, even as little as $1, you could reset the statute of limitations and restart that clock again. That means that the debt becomes active again, and the collector regains the legal right to sue you. It's no coincidence that some collectors will go out of their way to ask for a very small amount on your old debt. By convincing you to pay even a teeny amount, they revive that debt and get more power to collect on it. And they don't stop there. Once the statute of limitations resets, they might push harder for payments, file a lawsuit, or escalate their collection efforts. So, what should you do if a debt collector asks for a small payment on an old debt? First and foremost, do not pay anything, not a dollar, not a cent. No matter how small the amount is, making a payment on a debt that's past the statute of limitations could put you in a worse position overall. If the collector keeps pressing, it's important to stay calm and avoid acknowledging the debt. Saying things like, "Oh, I'll try to pay," or "I know I owe you something," can also restart the clock on the statute of limitations in some cases, even if you don't actually pay anything. You need to be very careful with what you say when you're talking to debt collectors. Instead of agreeing to pay, take the time to research the statute of limitations for debts in your state. Each state has its own rules, so it's worth knowing exactly how much time has passed since your last payment and what the legal limits are in your area. If you find that the debt is still within that statute of limitations, you still have the right to request written proof of the debt before you pay. Under federal law, collectors must provide details about the debt, including the original creditor and the amount that you owed. On the other hand, if the debt is older than the statute of limitations allows, you can take steps to stop the collector from contacting you altogether. To do this, you'll need to send a written request asking the collector to cease communication with you. Putting it in writing creates a legal record and makes it harder for the collector to ignore your request. Now, if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're unsure how to handle this situation, consider consulting a consumer protection attorney. An attorney can help you understand your rights, determine the best course of action, and make sure that you don't accidentally revive an old debt. Many attorneys offer a free 30-minute consultation that could help you get your questions answered, or you could reach out to legal aid for assistance. Remember, the just a dollar trap is a classic example of how debt collectors use misleading tactics to take advantage of people who don't know any better. By staying informed, refusing to pay without verification, and knowing the statute of limitations and your rights, you can protect yourself from falling into this financial pitfall. Now, have you ever encountered a debt collector who asked for a very small payment like this? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments so that others can learn from your story. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out our other videos for more tips on avoiding debt collection scams and saving money. For even more resources, visit lowincomerelief.com. I'll see you there.